The Department of Justice just released 3.5 million pages of Jeffrey Epstein files, and Trump's former defense lawyer is overseeing what gets released. A spreadsheet of FBI tips containing allegations against Trump briefly appeared on the DOJ website. Then it disappeared. Then it came back after reporters noticed, and the DOJ labeled some Trump-related submissions as unfounded and false in their press materials, without showing their work. Oh, and the DOJ identified over 6 million potentially responsive pages, but published about 3.5 million, withholding the rest under claimed exceptions for privilege, victim protection, and other exclusions. If you're new here, I'm Jordan Vale, and we're building a community of people who refuse to stand by while democracy is under attack. We need voices like yours in this fight. Let me start with who's overseeing this release, because that's the key to understanding everything else. According to ABC News, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced on Friday that thousands of new documents related to the case of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were being released. Blanche announced 3.5 million new files were being released to comply with the Epstein Transparency Act. Now, who is Todd Blanche? Todd Blanche is Trump's former defense lawyer. He defended Trump in multiple criminal cases, and now he's the Deputy Attorney General, overseeing the release of the Epstein files. That's the conflict of interest. Trump's own lawyer is supervising what potentially damaging information about Trump gets made public. And according to ABC News, Blanche said there was no oversight by the White House about what the material showed. From NBC News, Blanche said, "We did not protect President Trump. We didn't protect or not protect anybody." Keep that claim in mind as I walk you through what actually happened. According to the DOJ press release, the Department of Justice published over 3 million additional pages responsive to the Epstein Files Transparency Act. More than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images are included in the publication. Now here's the first problem. From NBC News, that constituted about half of the more than 6 million Epstein-related documents the DOJ collected, Blanche said. They identified over 6 million potentially responsive pages. They published about 3.5 million, withholding the rest under claimed exceptions. And according to CBS News, the Epstein Files Transparency Act required the DOJ to produce its files related to the late sex offender and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, by December 19th. But the DOJ said the volume of material and the need to redact survivors' identifying information meant the files would have to be released on a rolling basis. The deadline was December 19th. They released these files on January 30th. That's 1 month and 11 days late. So Trump's former lawyer is overseeing the release. They're only releasing half the files, and they're over a month late. But it gets worse, because something very specific happened with files that contained allegations about Trump.
The drop also includes a spreadsheet summary of complaints made to the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. It contained allegations against former President Donald Trump and former President Bill Clinton. There's no indication the FBI turned up evidence supporting the tips. And a note on the file read some of these individuals are reporting secondhand information and determined some of the tips were not credible. The DOJ later temporarily pulled the file without explanation. Both former presidents have denied any wrongdoing.
According to NBC News, the DOJ temporarily removed and then republished a file that included a spreadsheet summary of complaints made to the FBI's National Threat Operations Center that included references to Epstein and Trump. There was no indication that the tips were verified, and the complaints were made over an unspecified time frame, and the Justice Department didn't immediately respond to questions about why the file was removed and why it was compiled. So the files appeared, then they disappeared, then they reappeared after reporters started asking questions. What was in this spreadsheet? According to the Daily Beast, the claim, which the White House says was unfounded and false, was made in an FBI file dated from August last year, linked to an investigation into the Alexander brothers, 3 wealthy Florida siblings who are currently on trial, accused of sex trafficking. The Daily Beast reported it contained a spreadsheet of uncorroborated tips made to the FBI with references to Trump, as well as brief details of the Bureau's often limited follow-up. And here are the emails from that file. From the Daily Beast, this is the list I sent Whitney with names of Trump accusers from NTOC, one email reads, referring to the National Threat Operations Center tip line. In another email the following day, an FBI special agent from the Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force writes, "Are you able to send me full NTOC report? We need to interview regarding the Alexander brother allegations." So, there's a spreadsheet of FBI tips. There are emails about Trump accusers. There are references to interviews needed. And all of this briefly appeared on the DOJ website, then vanished. What was the DOJ's explanation? According to NPR, a Justice Department spokeswoman said the document was down due to overload and is back online. Due to overload, that was the excuse. But notice, it was only back online after reporters noticed and started asking questions. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because the DOJ didn't just delete the spreadsheet temporarily, they also preemptively called the tips fake. From NPR, the Justice Department press release said that the tranche of files may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act. And then this. Some of the documents contain untrue and sensationalist claims against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they have a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. Think about that logic. The DOJ released these files. They're legally required to release them, but in the same press release, they immediately call them unfounded and false, without explaining how they verified this or why they released unverified allegations in the first place. If they're unfounded and false, how do they know that before anyone's had a chance to verify them? And if they know they're false, why release them at all? The circular logic is absurd. We're releasing these files because we're legally required to, but don't believe anything bad about Trump because those parts are fake. And we know they're fake because if they were real, they would have been used against him already. And what did Blanche say about protecting powerful people? According to NBC News, Blanche said the public should not find within the files the names of any men who abused women in connection with Epstein. His comments affirm an unsigned statement from the DOJ and the FBI last year that sparked an avalanche of criticism and calls for more transparency. The public should not find the names of abusers. No comprehensive list naming alleged abusers and enablers. They're protecting those names. And from CBS News, Representative Ro Khanna, a California Democrat who co-sponsored the Epstein Files Transparency Act, questioned the Justice Department's decision. He said, "The DOJ said it identified over 6 million potentially responsive pages, but is releasing only about 3.5 million after review and redactions. This raises questions as to why the rest are being withheld." According to NBC News, a group of 20 women who say Epstein preyed on them issued a statement criticizing the DOJ for not releasing all of the documents. They said, "The Justice Department cannot claim it is finished releasing files until every legally required document is released, and every abuser and enabler is fully exposed. This is not over." 20 survivors, saying the DOJ is not being transparent. Now let me tell you what was actually in the files that were released. According to CBS News, among the material made public Friday is a 2-page document with booking information for Maxwell that includes her mugshot. Maxwell was indicted on sex trafficking charges and arrested on July 2nd, 2020. From ABC News, the new set of documents released Friday included emails from December 2013, showing Musk and Epstein discussing potential travel plans for Musk to visit the island, including one message with Musk asking when he can visit. Beyond the email correspondence, the documents also include a Google Calendar entry titled "Elon Musk to Island, Dec 6th," and a daily schedule for Epstein, noting on December 6th, reminder, Elon Musk to island. And from CBS News, in an October 2009 email to Epstein from Peggy Siegel, a publicist and New York socialite, she said she just left Ghislaine Maxwell's house, where an after-party for an unnamed film was being held. Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos were there, she wrote. So we get Ghislaine Maxwell's mugshot. We get Elon Musk's emails about visiting the island. We get references to Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos at parties. But we don't get a comprehensive list naming alleged abusers and enablers. And files containing Trump allegations briefly disappear from the website. And this isn't the first time this has happened. According to PBS NewsHour from December 20th, 2025, at least 16 files disappeared from the Justice Department's public webpage for documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, including a photograph showing President Donald Trump less than a day after they were posted, with no explanation from the government and no notice to the public. From NBC News, the Justice Department said it took down the well-known picture, which was taken in 2000, out of concern that other photos visible in the same picture might have contained victims, and restored the picture when it determined they did not. Though in December, a photo of Trump with Epstein disappeared, then came back. In January, a spreadsheet of FBI tips about Trump disappeared, then came back. There's a pattern here. Congressional Democrats are not happy about this. From CBS News, Khanna said he will be reviewing the newly available documents to see if they include records that he has been pushing to be made public, such as FBI forms memorializing victim interview statements, a draft indictment and prosecution memorandum that was prepared during a federal investigation into Epstein in 2007, and emails and files from his computers. He said, failing to release these files only shields the powerful individuals who were involved and hurts the public's trust in our institutions. According to NBC News, U.S. Representative Julie Johnson from Texas said she's not convinced Friday's DOJ document dump represents every file connected to Epstein. She said drip-feeding the Epstein files isn't transparency, it's a cover-up. Trump and Bondi are still breaking the law. Release every file, tell the full truth, and hold everyone who committed crimes accountable. And from NBC News, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer accused Bondi of withholding important information. He wrote, "Your numbers keep changing. You say you collected 6 million pages, but you're only releasing 3 million. What's in the 3 million that are missing?" So, let me put this all together. Trump's former defense lawyer, Todd Blanche, is now Deputy Attorney General. He's in charge of deciding what Epstein files get released. The DOJ was legally required to release these files by December 19th. They released them on January 30th, over a month late. They collected over 6 million pages. They're only releasing 3.5 million. The other half is still withheld. A spreadsheet of FBI tips containing allegations about Trump briefly appeared on the DOJ website, then disappeared with a page not found error, then reappeared after reporters complained. The DOJ immediately called these tips unfounded and false in their press release, without explaining how they verified this before releasing the files. Blanche said the public should not find the names of any men who abused women in connection with Epstein. No comprehensive list naming alleged abusers and enablers. And this is the second time files mentioning Trump have briefly disappeared from the DOJ website. In December, a photo of Trump with Epstein vanished, then came back. When Blanche says they didn't protect Trump, look at what actually happened. Files mentioning Trump keep disappearing. Tips about Trump are immediately labeled fake. Only half the collected documents are being released, and Trump's own former lawyer is making these decisions. This is the fox guarding the henhouse. 20 survivors of Epstein's abuse are saying the DOJ is not being transparent. Congressional Democrats are demanding the rest of the files, and the DOJ's own actions The deleted spreadsheets, the preemptive labeling of tips as fake, the withholding of half the identified documents raise serious questions about what they're trying to conceal. Let me know what you think in the comments. Does it concern you that Trump's former lawyer is deciding what Epstein files get released? What does it mean that files keep disappearing, then reappearing? And should the names of Epstein's clients be protected? Share this video. People need to know that half the Epstein files are still being withheld, that Trump's former defense lawyer is making the decisions, and that documents keep mysteriously disappearing from the DOJ website. We're building something here, a community that tracks these patterns, notices when files disappear, and demands full transparency. Because the survivors deserve it, the public deserves it, and powerful people don't get to decide which crimes get exposed.
Thanks for spending a few minutes digging into this with me. If you want more grounded, progressive commentary without the outrage bait, subscribe and stick around. Every time you watch, share, and engage, it helps build a community that believes democracy is worth understanding and defending. I'll see you in the next video.